Let's talk about the cast of characters who allegedly were directing traffic in this masterpiece of financial finessing. They're so sketchy, a Hollywood writer would call them unrealistic. First up, Uncle Dennis. Dennis Robertson is Kawhi's uncle and business manager. He's a former retail banking vice president who somehow negotiated one of the most suspect endorsement deals in sports history. Uncle Dennis operates like a health insurance company, controlling access to something valuable and extracting maximum profit. This is the same guy who, back in 2019, allegedly asked the Toronto Raptors for equity in the Maple Leafs and $10 million in sponsorships where Kawhi wouldn't have to do anything. Obviously, the Raptors said no. So he goes to the Lakers and asks them for the same deal. They give him the same response. But there's another team in Southern California to shake down. And his nephew signed with that team in the summer of 2019. 3 years later, Kawhi gets the Sopranos do-nothing job Uncle Dennis asked Toronto and the Lakers for, just filtered through a fraudulent tree planting company. That's either the world's biggest coincidence or Uncle Dennis played the long game and won. There's another layer here. Kawhi's agent, Mitch Frankel, literally put Uncle Dennis on his agency's payroll when Kawhi's original agent got cut out of his commission. The original agent sued and revealed this in court documents. So Uncle Dennis wasn't just Kawhi's uncle. He was getting paid by his agency too. Eric Fairstein also deserves a mention. He's a partner at Gibson Dunn, the legal firm that was assisting the Clippers in the construction of the Intuit Dome, and the registered agent for at least 19 of Kawhi's LLCs, including, wait for it, KL2 Aspire LLC. Think about that conflict of interest. He's literally billing hours to both sides of this deal. This probably isn't anything really, as Fairstein is based in New York and works on real estate transaction deals. But if he also manages shell LLCs on the side, I may have found Kawhi and Uncle Dennis's personal fixer. The timing? Leonard registers KL2 Aspire on November 22nd, 2021, with Fairstein as agent, perfectly positioned between Ballmer's investment and the endorsement deal. I reached out to Mr. Fairstein for comment and did not receive any response. And Kawhi himself, the quietest superstar in NBA history, managed to sign a $28 million deal that nobody knew about through an LLC with his own initials to do work he never did for a company that barely existed. Boardman gets paid is the most honest slogan ever. Oh, and I almost forgot one of the most important characters in this whole story. Aspiration co-founder Joe Sandberg. This guy has already pleaded guilty to defrauding investors of $248 million. When federal prosecutors asked him about the Clippers deal during a deposition, he took the Fifth Amendment faster than you could say salary cap circumvention. Sandberg was happy to talk about Drake, Leonardo DiCaprio, all the other celebrity investors. But the second they asked about the Clippers deal, fifth. That's not what innocent people do. That's what people do when their lawyer is frantically making the "shut up" gesture from across the room.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, fifth. Go ahead, ask me a question.
Did you?
Fifth. I have a secret document that I think you need to say.
The alleged salary cap circumvention scheme obviously caught the attention of the NBA, yet the federal government might care even more about it, but not for the reasons you may think. When Aspiration filed for bankruptcy in March of 2025, they had to list all of their creditors, and there it was. KL2 Aspire LLC still owed $7 million. Initially, it looked like they were trying to hide Kawhi's contract by selling it to a third party through the bankruptcy. Once that sale went through, all these sketchy details would be sealed forever. It's like laundering money through a judicial car wash. Except, they screwed it up. The contract ended up with the bankruptcy trustee instead. And the trustees, they have one job: getting money back for the people that got scammed. The NBA can't legally get the money back from the $28 million do-nothing deal, but Uncle Sam and the US government most certainly can. Here's why. In bankruptcy, there's something called fraudulent transfer claims. If you got paid while a company was insolvent, especially if you provided no value, the trustee, also known as the government, can demand it back. The trustee can now sue Kawhi to return the $21 million he got paid from Aspiration, claiming it was a fraudulent transfer, bankruptcy speak for you got paid for nothing while this company was dying. The most likely scenario in this case? A settlement negotiation for $8 to $12 million. The trustees will demand the whole amount, Kawhi's camp will say, "No way, Jose," and then the trustees will come back and say, "All right, we'll see you in court." Kawhi's camp won't want the smoke that will come with discovery, so they'll agree to settle for an amount in the middle. It'll probably be paid back over 2 to 3 years, and it will be negotiated with a confidentiality clause. Remember, you can either settle or go into deposition, under oath, about the entire scheme. And trust me, Uncle Dennis under oath is not someone anyone wants to see. Even better, all those emails, texts, and documents are now protected evidence in federal court. Ballmer can't make them disappear with his Microsoft money. The FBI, SEC, and the Delaware bankruptcy courts all have access. The bankruptcy trustee is now basically running a garage sale of Aspiration's dirty laundry, and the feature item is every contract that has Kawhi Leonard's name on it.
I declare bankruptcy!
This scheme is like Ballmer slipping Kawhi a 20 the way your grandma does when your mom's not looking, except the $20 bill was $28 million. Big no-no. But before you get your pitchforks, let's hear from the defense. And by defense, I mean Mark Cuban, who's been on an absolute Twitter rampage defending Steve Ballmer. Cuban's argument goes like this. Ballmer is not dumb enough to circumvent the cap this obviously. Instead, he's just dumb enough to invest $50 million in an obvious Ponzi scheme run by a guy who texts things like, "I hate you," to his business partners. That's the defense. Cuban says Joe Sandberg was a rogue agent acting alone, trying to keep his scam afloat by paying Kawhi to maintain the Clippers' relationship. The timing? All a coincidence. The payments? Just a desperate fraudster trying to keep his biggest investor happy. There's just one tiny problem with this theory. If Aspiration was paying Kawhi to keep their Clippers relationship alive, why did they keep paying Kawhi after they defaulted on their agreement with the Clippers? The defenders also argue, get this, that maybe Aspiration saw $28 million of value in Kawhi because he's so quiet. Like his silence makes any endorsement that more powerful. Right, because nothing says marketing genius like paying someone $7 million a year to not talk about your product. They also claim Aspiration paused all consumer marketing in December of 2022, right when Kawhi returned from injury, so he never even had the chance to promote them. Except, that doesn't explain why he did nothing from April to November of 2022 when they were supposedly active. He was able to cut commercials for his New Balance deal that paid him less during that time frame, so why not do any marketing for Aspiration when they were giving him $7 million a year? And some people question Pablo's 7 sources, saying they're just bitter ex-employees. Sure, multiple people, ones the feds trusted enough to use their information to prosecute the Aspiration fraudsters with, independently saying the exact same thing about salary cap circumvention, is probably all just a coincidence. The wildest defense? Joe Sandberg did all of this to grease up Steve Ballmer for more investments. An irrational scammer doing irrational things. Except, irrational scammers usually don't give away $48 million to random athletes. That's not how Ponzi schemes work. You usually want to take money from people, not give it to them. Steve Ballmer himself flew out across the country to Bristol, Connecticut, and went on ESPN during a rain delay of the NFL season opener, so nobody was paying attention, to claim they conned me and had no idea about Kawhi's deal. He said he owns less than 3% of Aspiration and had no control. Ballmer claiming he got conned is like those people who post something controversial on social media, get pushback for it, and then say their account was hacked. Yeah, sure, we totally believe you on that. Speaking of ESPN, the way sports media covered this tells you everything about the state of sports journalism in 2025. They sent Ramona Shelburne to interview Ballmer in a segment that looked more like a North Korean state TV broadcast than journalism. No real follow-ups, no tough questions, just Steve says he didn't do it, and moving on. ESPN paid billions for the NBA broadcast rights until 2035. They're not stupid enough to bite the hand that feeds them billions. Did you know that the first letter in ESPN stands for entertainment? They're proving that protecting their entertainment investment matters more than honest journalism. Meanwhile, Pablo Torre, working with a small team, spent 7 months digging through bankruptcy filings, interviewing sources, and connecting dots the size of the Chicago bean. He is doing real journalism while the company we think should be doing that is running interference for their cash cow. One ESPN radio host actually said, and I wish I was making this up, that if he found the story, he won't report on it.
Because, Danny, first and foremost, I'm not trying to get a Kawhi's bad side. Like, he could give me an exclusive interview.
He essentially called Pablo a snitch for doing actual journalism. At least that's better than Channing Frye, who literally called Pablo a snitch.
Why are you snitching? Who cares?
This is your sports journalism, folks. They're not reporters. They're PR firms with press passes. Pablo's podcast episodes exposing all of this? It's over 4 hours of pure investigation. But if that's too long for you, Adam Silver suggests just catching the highlights on TikTok.
There's a huge amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport.